Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's episode number 9 of Bargain Hunters. Want to welcome back John P. Collects Cards. John, how you doing today?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing all right. Looking forward to this one. I hope you're doing well. And I think this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, this is going to be a blast. First of all, if you don't remember, folks, we're chasing Bob Gibson for $35. But the really exciting piece is we have 2 firsts today.
That's right.
So number 1 first is we're going to have our first repeat guest on the show. We are having Topher, the Cincinnati Kid. Topher, how you doing today? Welcome back.
Greetings, gentlemen. I am pumped and excited to do the cards for Bob Gibson and share my pickup for the Bargain Hunters best half hour on YouTube.
Thank you. We got to have you do more PR for us. The other exciting thing is, like NFL Red Zone, today we're going quad box because we have a 4th guest. We're bringing in Billy Ballgame, the Cardinal fan himself. Bill, how are you doing?
Hey, Billy.
I'm good, fellas. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being on. This is exciting. So it's 2 firsts. First repeat guest. First time we've had 4 people on. That means you're going to see a lot of Gibson. And we, Gibson, I know you're a Cardinal fan, Bill. When I was growing up, outside of Koufax, Gibson was probably the most dominant pitcher other until Seaver showed up. He was an amazing pitcher, an amazing athlete. I think he played basketball in college. I know he played for the Globetrotters for a year. So pretty interesting dude.
For sure. And he's, as with so many, and I'm biased, as with so many Cardinals greats and Hall of Famers, way undervalued within the hobby.
He is. Most pitchers are. Pitchers, for some reason, are undervalued, which I get when they're like in the modern because they can blow their arm out. But when a guy's had his career, you would think they would go for more. But guys like Gibson, Koufax, they're undervalued, but he's really undervalued. His card should be up there with Koufax's cards in my mind. He was that good.
And I gotta add, just I didn't see him pitch, but the '60s, was the decade of the pitcher, really, I guess. But I think he would have been a Hall of Fame pitcher in any era. I think. I mean, of course, I don't have any firsthand knowledge in terms of seeing him pitch to really base that on, but just what he, just the statistics he did compile consistently, and just his overall kind of leadership and presence on that Cardinals team. It sort of sometimes goes beyond what you're doing on the hill. There's a little bit of a presence there that he brought to that team that gave him an edge too, which I think would be highly valuable and sought after on any team today. So yeah, I think he would have been successful, very successful, regardless of the era.
One of my favorite stories before we show cards, Dusty Baker, Henry Aaron kind of took Dusty Baker under his wing when he first came into baseball. And one of the first things Dusty said Henry Aaron told him was, don't dig in against Gibson. and he's funny because he said he dug in, and next thing you know, he's flat on his back because Gibson, you don't crowd the plate on him. He made sure he got his half of the plate. So it was pretty fun story. All right, let's share some of the cards that we have. We forgot. The one thing we didn't talk about before we jumped on air, guys, was who's going to go first, second, third, or fourth. So doesn't matter to me. Does anybody want to share their cards first? If not, I'll jump in and share mine.
I'm happy to go fourth. I'm lucky to come in fourth in this group, so I'll go last.
Okay.
I can go whenever you want me to. This is your house.
How about I start it off, and then we'll have John go next, then we'll go Billy, and then we'll go Topher. How's that? So I'm going to share some cards that I have. The first one is a leader card, but it's one of my favorite leader cards. It's the one with Koufax and Bob Veal.
Nice one there. Yep.
Yeah. And then this one's my non-graded one, but it's one of my favorite Gibson cards. I'm going to get it graded eventually, but it's the 64. This is just such a great picture of Gibson. This one, 1960 Gibson. I picked this one up at Strongsville last year from B. Roth. And then I got it graded.
That's a really nice looking card. It looks well centered.
Yeah, this is my probably one of my favorite Gibsons that I own, the 61. I just think it's a really cool card.
Beautiful card.
Yep.
And he doesn't have an ugly card, in my opinion, either. He's one of those guys that all of his cards look great.
You know, I agree with you.
He's a really good-looking guy. You know, he's a really good-looking guy too. So, you know,
he is. He's like Clemente, right?
Yeah.
Like Clemente is, you know, his cards. You don't have bad cards. This is his 64.
I'm not a huge fan of the 64 set design, but that's a nice card. I like the green that they used for the Cardinals that year.
66 is always a great picture of Mr. Gibson.
It's one of my favorites, the 66.
It is. Here's the 68, the year he had the magical season. Just an unbelievable season. $1969. One of my favorite cards of his.
Very cool.
Flare out of there.
I love the follow through there in the pose.
Yeah, this is one of the first years, the sets that I collected as a kid. I didn't collect the whole set, but the cards that I broke as a kid. And I remember getting this card. It's not this same card, but having that one. And then here's this 1970 that this one I just got back. You know, I've been doing all my SGC reveals, and this is going to be on the next reveal I air. So I'm actually doing a little preview here. This one came back in a 4. It's got a little bit of a crease up here, but this isn't my favorite Gibson card, but it does remind me of Gibson when I was a kid. And then, as usual, when I went to pick up cards, I picked up 2 because the first one I picked up, I thought this was going to be my card because I love this card. It's his 69 All-Star card. I just think it's a beautiful card. And I got this in a grade, and this was only $20. And I was really excited to grab it. And I was going to use that card. And then another opportunity came, which I'll share with you guys in a minute. But so that was my that's my Gibson run. I've got quite a few of his cards. If I could ever get the rookie, I might even think about making the Gibson run. So anyway, that's my cards. John, you're next, but you know what I forgot is I wanted to give you the screen. I'm wondering if I can do. Yep, look at that. I'm going to give a bigger screen for you when you share your cards, John. So
okay.
How about we see what you have for Mr. Gibson?
All right. Well, I'm coming into this. So I'll put it right. I'll mention this really quick. I came into the start of the search with only 3 Bob Gibsons. I mentioned before I had 5 to show here in this first part. That's because my search took kind of a long time. And I ended up buying 2 cards that are not part of the $35 piece. I thought, so at first I thought this was going to be the card that I would be using here in our hunt. This is a 1965 Gibson.
Yeah.
Really love the design. You know, the 65 design's classic. Love this card. I like how it's tightly cropped in terms of around him and stuff. So he kind of, fills out the card pretty well. I think overall it's a really cool card. Yeah, it's decently centered. I got it for $20, and I thought I was going to send it off to SGC and call it a day with the 35. But I was just on the fence about it, and I just, I was hemming and hawing, and I didn't really want to wait for it to come in. And then next thing you know, the SGC delay came in, and now it's taking 3 to 4 weeks to get our cards back from them. So, but on the same day when I bought that card, I saw this card in my LCS, his rookie. And of course, I didn't get this for $35. You can multiply that by a decent amount. But I didn't buy it the same day. I thought about it, went back in, and I just had to get it. I talked about it on the video, but so I do have his rookie, and I'm going to bring it with me to the Strongsville show. I believe we're airing this right before we're off to Strongsville. Yeah, so absolutely love having this. I'm most likely going to submit it to SGC, but I'm probably going to still have it around for the trade night. If to me, I'm looking at it as it's a fantastic rookie card. I love it. But, at the same time, if something presents itself that, might be hard that's like a real big gold card, I might consider using that as part of a purchase, but most likely not. Let me show the other cards I have really quick. I've got this little 73 Gibson that I just have lying around. It's just in a little penny sleeve. And then I've got two slabs actually to show here. I've got a 63.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I love the 63 designs. Probably my first or second favorite design. Next to that and 65 are probably my two favorites. And then I also have a 68 Gibson as well. So
beauty.
Those are the ones I have right now.
Hey, hold up that rookie card one more time, will you, John? That thing is just too sweet not to see another time.
Now it's got wax staining on it. It's got a decent amount of wax staining, but the centering, so you can sort of pick up the wax stain there if I hold it right. But the centering usually is all over the place on this card. I mean, I looked when I was thinking about it, considering whether or not I was going to pick it up. I just, I was trying to do some due diligence and did, kind of did a lot of comps. And, the corners are pretty okay as well. The back is actually pretty well centered and pretty clean. Also, there's no real staining on it.
Yeah, that's clean back.
Pretty nice card. I measured it. I don't think I actually mentioned on my video. When I came back into the shop, I brought a couple of other 59 high numbers that I actually happened to have of commons and measured it. It measured fine. And, he was totally, the guy at the shop was fine with me doing that. So I was pretty confident with the buy. So, I mean, here it is. But the center can be really all over the place on this card. So it's
the centering and the color. The color can be all over the place too, and that's a pretty vibrant looking color. That's a nice card.
Yeah, So those, I was really excited to pick it up. Wasn't planning on it, and it's definitely put a dent into the Strongsville budget. But some of that budget is in that card. I'm kind of looking at it like that. So
yeah, you got a great deal on it, and sometimes the opportunity outweighs whether you're saving for a card show or not, right? So awesome. Those are great cards. So next up, Bill, we're gonna slide you over.
Okay.
And now you've got the screen, and let's see what you've got for Mr. Gibson.
So first off, John, congratulations. That thing is gorgeous. So
thank you.
I don't have a lot of Gibsons, but all the ones that I do, in one way, shape, or form, they came from a friend of mine, which just makes it mean even more. So the first one I'm going to show is one of the Black Beauties, the 71 nice. Gibson. I got this from a subscriber, Dan, in Maine. I bought a bunch of 70s stuff from him, so I would like to get one of these graded one of these days, but so many cards, so little time, right?
Yeah.
And then the next one is one that Doug, Video Guy 316, sent to me out of the clear blue that he picked up at a show. And this is an autograph that he just randomly bought and sent to me at a show. And needless to say, I was blown away with that.
Yeah.
That's
very
awesome.
nice.
Wow.
And then so this one was and our brains are interconnected as always, Steve. This is one I got from the Basement Collection, ungraded and cool. Sent into grade.
Love that card.
Me too. It's awesome. And like I said, he doesn't have a bad card. And then the rest of these I got, two of these I got from my buddy Tom down in Jeff City. The 63.
Very nice.
And he sold all these cards to me way too cheap. I bought a bunch of cards off of him last summer. And then here's the 64.
Oh, wow. That's an impressive grade there,
Beauty,
Bill.
7.5. Wow.
Well, again, that's another one I bought from Tom that he did not charge me nearly enough for it. And then last but not least, this is really kind of one of the most staple cards in my collection. I think I've shown it on like half the videos on my channel. And I got this one from my buddy Chris from Missouri. I bought it ungraded and sent it in to get it graded, and it came back 7.5. So I was on the floor.
Stunning.
With that. So
that's a monster grade for that card. Second year Gibby and a 7.5. Wow.
Yeah, just a lot of these cards, or all of these cards that I have of Gibson, like I said, I don't have too many, but they all have some kind of special meaning to me because I'm a kind of a sentimental dude anyway. So
yeah,
happy to have them all.
Those are beauties. That 63 is such a great card. I tried to look for a 63 for this, but at $35, I couldn't find one.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Such a beautiful card, but it's pretty pricey. Awesome.
Yeah.
That was great. Topher, you're back
All right.
cleanup, my friend. Let's see what you got.
All right. Well, I know this has been shown quite a bit already, but this was my first Bob Gibson card.
It's a great card.
Very cool.
Is that coming in backwards?
No, it looks good.
It looks
Okay.
good.
It's backwards on my screen. So anyway, so the theme of mine I'm going to share is, and a lot of his cards, first off, this guy, probably one or two or three guys you're going to think of to be a Game 7 starter.
Mm-hmm.
Probably want this guy as one of your three choices. But in a lot of his cards, he had that glare, that stern, tough look to him. He doesn't smile a lot in his cards, so I like the ones where he smiles. So I tried to pull ones where he is, and then I pulled this in honor of Billy Ball Game because I know he loves the 60 top set, and mine's not near the grade his is, but I really like this card. I've wanted a 60 tops Gibson for a long time, and I finally got one late last summer. Got this one. Let's see. So I've got a couple more here. I mean, I don't know if he's really smiling in this one, but this was another early one that I got. It was his 74.
Yeah.
Near the end of his career there. And he's just looking, he's cracking maybe a small grin.
And he loved that trash bag warm-up jacket. He wore that in so many of his cards.
Especially late career, he sure did. I love the sideburns, just the mutton chops like down past his ears.
Got him on the 73 too that I showed. Yep, they were really cool.
And you're going to get another shot of it here, of him here. You kind of see him on his last card, the 75, which I think just pops in the SGC slab.
They do. That set looks fantastic in an SGC slab.
And so
Beauty.
you can kind of see him there. And I think he's kind of smiling there maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite Gibson, I'm knocking some of my cards over I've got in front of me here. Sorry, Eddie Matthews. Let's see. So this is my favorite smiling card of Bob Gibson. And so this would have been a great one to choose if I had waited. But I got this, a couple of years ago. Got it ungraded and then got it graded. This would have been great for bargain hunters because it would have fit under this price threshold. But here's the 68 All-Star.
Oh, wow.
And
that's a beauty too.
This is I just love this card.
It's a really nice card. I'll say this right now. I was thinking about this card myself for our hunt. This was a candidate for me.
The 68 All-Star?
It was, yeah. Didn't turn out that way, but it was definitely a candidate. Great card.
And I'd love to. I wish I had a 67. I had a chance to get one several years ago and passed on. And he's got a beautiful smile on that one because I was trying to get the ones that he was in the World Series. So 64, 67, and 68. And I had the 68, but that's all I have.
Well, that's not all you have. Those are beauties. Those awesome looking cards. Yeah, that warm up jacket. The funny thing is, when I was growing up, when we played spring ball, that's how we would dress too. And it was cold out. We'd put the warm up jacket under our uniform. Thought we looked cool, like Tony Perez or like Bob Gibson and their cards, for crying out loud. Just couldn't play like him. That's all. So now it's time, folks. It's time to share what we picked up. And sticking with the order that we shared our cards, I will go first. I will tell you that, as you saw, I have a decent amount of Gibson cards. So, and two of the big ones that I'm missing are his rookie card and the 63 card. And on a $35 budget, neither of those are showing up, right? So actually the 63 I could have, but it was pretty beat up. And I was going to go with that All-Star card when I saw this card. And quite honestly, this card was, they're asking $10 over our budget. And I looked at it and I just said, but it was one of those where you can make an offer. So I said, what the heck? I knew I already had a card. So I put in the offer at $35. And then I went to bed. And when I woke up the next morning, he had accepted the offer and I took it. So the card that I picked up is the 1971 Topps Super of Bob Gibson. This is in a PSA 4.
That's great.
I think it's a really cool picture of Mr. Gibson. And the one thing I like about this, too, is that it's in a PSA slab, because as much as I like SGC, they would put this thing in a dinner plate size holder as opposed to this. And it's got a really, really clean back. This back, I don't know if this camera is doing it justice, but it's really like a bright green, really clean card. I was totally stoked because I was looking for one that I didn't have. And this one, the guy took the offer, and this is what I ended up picking for the bargain hunt. I'm really stoked to have it.
Well done. That looks fantastic.
It's a gallant pose of him.
All right, John I'm going to slide John in. John, let's see what you got. You've been crushing it lately. Let's see what you came home with.
I'm already going to concede on this one, fellas. I could tell you that right now. But at the same time, I really, really like what I ended up with. And I'll try to be fairly quick with the story. And I already kind of started it when we were showing the previous ones. But I really started the search looking for a 61. I wanted a 61 Gibson because I've mentioned a couple of times on a couple of videos that I've got, I think, over half of like the regular cards, not the subset cards or the all-star cards, but the regular base cards, so to speak, from 61 Topps of the Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking of finishing that run. Like, I seriously am thinking about doing that. And I might even go to try to pick up a couple of Strongs, though. It might, if the opportunity presents itself, it might not there. It's too big of a shell. But needless to say, I just couldn't find the right one for me at that price. I tried. I negotiated on a couple of them, and I couldn't get. I was a decent SGC 3 that I couldn't get the seller down below 40, and I just finally gave up. So, and it went in a different direction. And I thought the 65 that I showed earlier was going to be the card, and I'd send it in. But I just didn't. I was already a couple of weeks or 3 weeks in. I didn't want to wait anymore. It was just like, no, I'm not going to do this. So I just kept looking. And finally I found the right thing for me. And these are not going to be impressive cards, but basically I'll say this before I show it. For, I would say, a couple of years, I've been wanting to add a Bob Gibson autograph to my collection. He signed a lot. And so he had a card in the 2020 Topps Brooklyn collection. Back when I went in the hobby, I wanted that. I ended up collecting that whole 50 card set back when I was buying new stuff. I just really liked that design, and the autograph design was pretty cool too. And I have like a dozen autos from that set. He signed in it, and I really wanted his autograph from that set for a while. And I was willing to spend like more money than I should have for a Bob Gibson autograph. And I didn't in the end. I don't have it, but finally I did pick up one that I liked, and it's a card from the 90s. And apparently he signed a squadrillion of these, but this was from when I was out of the hobby. And so I picked up 2 cards from the same lot for $32, led by this card that probably a lot of people in the hobby have seen. The Nabisco 1994 autograph. unlicensed. They were only, and I had to research this before I bought it because, again, I was out of the hobby by '94, and I wasn't back in until like 2020. So I didn't even know these happened, and so like there are a lot of cool autographs from this set, and they're pretty cheap. And what I love about this one is like it's just I love how like he doesn't touch the. I mean, he signed it perfectly in terms of where he placed it, right below the cleat, and he doesn't get in his nameplate. And the pose is like the classic Bob Gibson pose for an autograph. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me actually that there's no STL on his hat or Cardinals on his jersey. I love that pose. That's the Bob Gibson shot, and so I love having this. But and you know, it also came with this little certificate thingy to say that it was real. But I also, in the same deal, got a 1969 Topps Decal Edge.
Wow.
And it's pretty creased up, actually. But it's a card that I didn't have any Decal Edges from any years that they did. So I did them. So I'm really happy to add this to the collection. So I picked up these 2 cards for $32.
That's awesome auto. I'm a fan of the Decal Edge, but that auto, that is the classic Gibson follow through, you know, like he's almost falling off the mound. He's throwing so hard. So that's sweet, John.
In the end, I went in a different direction than I would usually do, but I'm really happy with what I ended up with.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Billy, you're up, my friend.
All right, so let me tell you, once I found out I was coming on here, once you texted me back that night, I was so excited. I was on eBay that night, and I think 3 days later, I had bought a card. So our thought processes are mirroring each other here. Mine overlaps a little bit with John's because I was thinking for $35, it's going to be tough to get a nice Gibson. And so at first I was thinking, well, I'll buy one ungraded and send it into SGC. But at the time I had an order out that was already taking way too long. So I was afraid that wasn't going to work. And then I went to All-Star cards because those are always a bargain, right? And I had a few offers out on stuff, but you know how eBay is sometimes. And then finally, my brain went to oddball. So I had an offer on one of the top stamp. I had a few offers out on a few different things that we just couldn't come together on. But finally, I say finally, probably 2 days later, I was able to pick this up, and it's a 70 Kellogg's.
Ooh, nice.
Sweet.
Bob Gibson. And this was $28, tax, shipping, and everything. So I'm super stoked to have this because oddball is I'm kind of an oddball dude. So oddball kind of has a special place in my heart. And I didn't have a Kellogg's card at this point, and an older one anyway. So I was super stoked to pick this one up.
I'm a huge Kellogg's fan. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm beyond ecstatic to have this. So
that's a great pickup, Bill. Well done.
I forgot to pull out my Kellogg's card from my childhood that I just got back graded. I forgot all about it, for crying out loud. I love those cards. That's a beautiful card. Good grade. 7's a good grade. They grade those really tough. They grade Kellogg's cards overly tough, but that's sweet. Sweet. Look at this. We're crushing it. I know Theo wants us to pick on each other, but the hell with it. We're crushing it here. Everybody's just crushing it. Topher, once again, you're batting cleanup, my friend. Let's bring it home.
All right, do my best. So I was thinking about this a lot after I was able to come back on the show again, and I'm very thankful and gracious to you, Steve and John, for having me back on. And I thought, well, you know, in the first episode I was on was the Sandy Koufax one. And Steve and I picked the exact same card. And Steve, when you said 1971, my heart skipped a beat. I thought, oh boy, we're going to have the same card again. But 1971 is an interesting year. I was looking for a 71 Topps, the base card for Bob, and I found one, but it was just slightly over the $35. So I bought it anyway. But so I was thinking, I'm going to go oddball too. So when I was considering this, it came up maybe a couple days after, and I thought about it, and like, well, I don't know much about these, but it is 1971. And it is the 1971 Dell Today's Team Stamps Bob Gibson All-Star.
Oh,
There you go.
wow.
That's cool.
And it keeps on the theme. I don't have a lot of oddball cards in my collection, but look at that smile. I mean, that dude has got a great smile, and he should have smiled more in his cards. I mean, I know part of his image was to be the tough guy on the mound. I understand that, but now what's also interesting about this card is that basically, like, if you see a headshot, of Bob, so here you go with this one again. Any card where he's like from the waist up, any card where he's got more of his body in there, he's always got his mitt on.
Yeah.
And he does not in this one. And so there's his left hand just kind of there exposing. Like, I've never seen his left hand before. I just thought that was really cool. And it also on the part of it here, it looks like it says hotel on the back. Like maybe it's a spring train. You see a palm tree there.
Yeah.
So this is such an odd, interesting card. I was like, yes, I've gotta get this. So there it is.
That's a really cool card. What was that card again? Who made that?
So it's the Dell Today's Team Stamps All-Star. And I don't know if this is, so I went and also looked at the pop count on these on SGC and PSA. They're just, oddly enough, there's one that's not an all-star. There's just the regular version. There weren't as many of those graded as there were the all-stars, but there's not a ton. I don't know if that means it's exceedingly rare or if there's just a lot of them and no one has gotten them graded. Maybe someone out there in YouTube land would know that. But also on the back here, I'll show you the back. It's got talks a little bit about him. And it's got, I think that's like a little bit of like a cardinal, like maybe.
Yeah, I think they put the logo
there
in the background on those. Yeah, I think I've seen a Clemente like that. I think when we were doing our Clemente hunt with Theo, Steve, I think I was looking at a Dell stamp of him for a bit, actually.
Yeah, I think you were. I remember that.
So there it is, gentlemen.
I saw that on eBay when I was hunting too. I saw that and thought about picking it up.
I think that's not the first time we've encountered that where like we know the card that they picked up because I think we saw it as well, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes that an all-star, actually, versus any others from that set?
I don't know enough about the set to answer that question, John.
Okay.
But yeah,
really cool.
Awesome card. So I'm going to give us back to the quad box. And this is something that when we had Dylan on that he wanted to do, and I thought it was a great thing, is we get all four of us to hold up our picks at the same time because it's just a great, just a beautiful group of Bob Gibson cards, all for $35 or less. So that's just amazing, gentlemen. I think everybody did great. Everybody got a little bit of an oddball card or something a little different than the base run, which is fantastic. So
yeah, I think that is neat.
Yeah, well done.
Excellent job.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. We had a blast doing this with you. I enjoy having guests on. So, and this quad box thing is kind of cool. So, and now, John, it's time for us to figure out who, when we run out of money in Strongsville, which should be by Friday afternoon, who are we going to go chase, right? So, the one thing I didn't do was practice how to bring this up again.
As Steve brings up the wheel here to figure out who we're going to target next, starting at Strongsville, I will say to everyone watching, please let us know in the comments whose card you thought was the best, Steve's, Bill's, or Topher's, because I'm taking myself out of the running because you guys blew me out of the water this time. You guys all have great pickups.
I wouldn't say that, John. I think I love that autograph. It's really good.
I love having the auto. He signed
very
it.
Nice.
But I really like having it. But yeah,
I'll trade you.
Was great.
I'll trade you, John.
That was a great find, and that's super. Wow. Awesome.
I'll trade you, John, if you want.
Trade you the autograph?
I'll trade you the auto for this.
We can talk about it if you want.
It's trade night. The heck with the
I'm
four
just trying to tell you, John, that I think you have a very great pick. So people should be choosing yours as well if they like it the best.
All right. So here's the wheel. I'm going to give it since we are doing the quad box, I'm going to give it 4 shuffles.
These bars are finally starting to get a little thicker.
They are.
It's going to be what?
We're
This is
down.
our 10th one coming up?
Yeah, we've gotten rid of almost a third of them. So let's see who we're chasing with John.
All right.
Oh, the hammer.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
We're going big time on this one.
$20.
Hammer and Hank for 50 or less. Oh, boy.
Oh, you haven't done the money? Did you do the money one?
Not yet. I meant to go to the money, and I missed it. So
well, Steve, I don't know if you can find a rookie card for 50 or less. That might be a tall order.
You got to have 50 on this one. Got to have 50.
Yeah, we should just skip and go straight to 50, John.
I'm willing to do that if you want to do that this time.
$20. $20.
You want to spin it, or do you want to go 50 for Mr. Aaron?
Spin.
Okay.
Round number.
$20. Come on, $20. I'm spitting all over my camera.
It might be. Oh no. Okay, 35 again.
You can do that. You can do that.
That will be difficult, guys. That's not going to be easy. Mr. Aaron for $35. And I have a lot of Aaron cards too. He's my guy, right? He's the guy I like to collect, and I'm hoping maybe to have a big one of his here after Strongsville, but we'll see. Anyway,
he does have a lot of cards, so that's good. There's a bright
side. He does have a lot of cards. He does. Cool.
And you have no rules for duplicates. There's no rule for duplicates. You could always buy another one if you have the same one already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Gentlemen, it's been a blast. So once again, like John said, if you want to give a vote for who you like the best, let me know. If anybody wants to chase Henry Aaron for $35, let me know. I can make that happen too. But it's been a blast, everybody. I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch as usual. Until we talk again, stay safe. Keep collecting. We'll talk to y'all soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone.